The next task that we're going to have to do with regards to circles is finding the area. Now we know that area is the space inside of a shape. So it's no different for circles than it is with rectangles or squares or triangles, whatever. For circles, they have a special formula. The formula to find area of a circle is that area is equal to pi r squared. I remember this with the little trick that apple pies are squared. McDonald's apple pies are sort of rectangular, so I keep that in mind when I'm trying to remember this formula. Apple pies are squared. The next thing we have to remember is that to square a number means you're multiplying it by itself. So if we break down this formula, we're essentially saying that area of a circle is equal to 3.14. That sort of looks like a multiplication dot, doesn't it? It's not 3 times 14. Let me fix that. It's 3.14 times radius, okay? It's not radius times 2, it's radius times itself. All right, so let's do our first example here. So if I am given a circle with, let's start with a radius that's 8.5 feet. 8.5 feet. Okay, first thing I'm gonna do is record the formula. Area equals pi r squared. All right, now I'm gonna plug in the pieces of this that I already have. So pi is 3.14, radius is 8.5 squared. So I'm gonna put that in parentheses because I know I'm gonna have to multiply that by the 3.14. So 8.5 squared. Now in my calculator, I'm gonna do my math. So 8.5, and you can use this button right here to square it. So it equals 72.25. I'm just going to record that so that I'm keeping track of what I'm doing. 3.14 times 72.25. You have to remember that according to order of operations, remember our order of operations, parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction, you have to do your exponents before you do your multiplication or division. So you have to do 8.5 squared before you multiply it with pi. So I've done this now. 72 and 25 hundredths times 3.14, which equals, so then the area is equal to, and I'm going to round it to the nearest hundredths place, 226, and I'm going to call it 87 hundredths, and that's going to be feet squared, okay? So this is the final answer. Whenever you are recording the units for area, it's always the units with a little square on the units because you're just showing, if you remember when you learned area in elementary school, you're basically counting how many squares, how many tiny little squares fill up this space, okay? That's all that means. Don't worry too much about that. This is how you get that number. Okay, let's do a second example here. All right, example 2. In example 2, our circle, we are going to be given now a diameter. So if you are given a diameter, and that diameter is 25 meters. So I know that the diameter is 25 meters. Well, my formula says that I have to do, in order to calculate the area, I need pi times the radius squared. Well, I need to know what that radius is. Well, if you look back at the notes we did before, we know that radius is equal to the diameter divided by 2, correct? Okay, so then to get the radius here, I'm just going to do 25 divided by 2. 25 divided by 2 is 12.5. So then the radius that I'm going to be using in my problem, so then a radius here, I'm going to put it in there, and I'm going to say that this right here is 12.5 meters. Okay, cool. So I've got everything recorded. So then my area is equal to 3.14 times 12.5 squared. So if you're given the diameter, there's really just one extra step there, is you have to cut that diameter in half in order to get your radius, and then you can do your calculation. So let's start with order of operations. So I'm going to re-record 3.14. I'm going to do 12.5 squared. So 12.5 squared, and I get 156.25. Okay, and then I'm just going to multiply that by 3.14. And the area of this circle is 490 and 63 hundredths. My units are meters, so I'm just going to say meters squared since I'm doing area. Be careful with this, because if you notice, the diameter is 25 meters. That is not the same as the radius squared. I cannot simply do 25 times 3.14. Okay, you have to cut that diameter in half and then do your calculations. That's where I see the most mistakes made with problems like this. I think you guys have got this. Good luck.